Good morning. I'm tired. Let's go practice. We'll start on the ground today and just placing your hands behind you. Fingertips can either point back or you might find it more comfortable to point them towards your glute. So maybe try both. Find the one that works for you. Keeping the knees about hip width apart. As you inhale, lift your chest to the sky. Press the floor away. And just stay here and just breathe. Opening the chest. Bringing in lots of oxygen. That's beautiful. So begin to come into cow and cat from seated. I'll just shift around, give you a couple of different variations. Take another yawn. Yep. There we go. As you inhale, lift your chest. And as you exhale, rounding out your spine, use your abdominal muscles. Start to wake those up. You can hold the shins or behind the thighs. Inhale, let your heart rise up. Smile. Exhale, rounding back and down. Different angle here. Inhale to lift, rolling forward on the sitting bones. And exhale, tilting the pelvis back. Do that a couple more times. Use your hands as much as you need. Inhale, chest opens, deep breath in. Exhale, breath empties out of the body, navel to spine. Inhale. And plant those hands behind you again. Opening the chest. Oftentimes we just kind of have that chest closed during the night. Just enjoying some deep breaths here. It's great. So I'll have you come down onto one side and laying on one side, just stacking your hips. I know you feel like curling up into a little ball, but we're not doing that. We're actually going to stretch out the side body, give your little animals some pets if they've come over. You're down at their level, so take some love and give some love. I'm going to stretch my legs out and reach that top arm above the head and start to feel an elongation through those side body muscles. Maybe play with your feet. I'm going to take my back foot and stack it in front of the opposite knee to help with balance. And breathing here, opening and stretching into the side body from the pelvis all the way up to the wrist. A few more breaths here. This is Coco nuzzling in, really focusing on bringing in more oxygen. Let's switch sides. If you have furry friends, try to convince them to give you some space too. So just rolling over onto the other side, taking that same shape, stretching out the opposite side body, lengthening out the legs. Inhale, top arm up and over. And maybe using that top leg to help balance. Breathing here, opening here. Conscious breath work. Inhaling right down into the bottom of your rib cage. And exhaling right up and out through the nose. Breathe with presence. Breathe with the intention of waking up. And beautiful. Pressing into that hand, rolling up and over. Bring your knees right underneath your hips, wrists underneath the shoulders. We start to move and mobilize that spine through cow and cat. On the inhalation, let the chest come forward. On the exhalation, round out the back. Inhale, pelvis tilts forward, open the chest. Exhale, press the floor away. Pull the hips towards you, stretch out that spine. So let's just try and get into each of those vertebrae in the back body. Consciously connecting breath with movement. Inhale to look forward. Exhale, press the floor away, navel to spine. Stretch out those back muscles. Inhale, coming into spinal extension. Maybe start to bend the elbows, get a little bit more movement here into this. Blood's flowing, feeling a little more alive already. Walk your hands a little more forward, draw the sitting bones back, and just check when you come forward that the shoulders don't surpass the wrists. So inhale, drawing forward. I'm tucking my toes. Exhale, pull sitting bones back. Keep those arms really active, hugging the muscles around the bones, and just check in that the abdominals stay intact so you don't drop down too much into that low back as you come forward. We're going to do this a few more times. Exhaling, sitting bones back, waking up the soles of the feet. Inhaling, waking up the front of the body. Exhale, drawing back. And slowly lowering all the way down to the ground, coming into Cobra Pose. So let's energize those thighs. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders, hug the elbows in close. Draw the inner edges of your shoulder blades together. Inhale, draw the heart forward. Press the elbows down and back. Keeping that beautiful elongation through the spine, coming forward and up again. Inhale, keeping glutes engaged. Exhale to lower down. So we're going to do this dynamically. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, lowering down, glutes active, thighs active. Inhale, heart shines open. So lots of back bending movements today. And I find that those are stimulating and energizing. Inhale. Exhale to lower. Inhale, open. Walk those elbows a little more forward so they're now underneath the shoulders. Spread your fingers wide. Pull the mat towards you. Take a look over one shoulder. Still keeping those glutes active, thighs active. A little bit of rotation here. Come back through center and take a look over the other shoulder. Inhale back through center and slowly lower the forehead down to the ground. Begin to draw your feet towards your hips. You can do one leg at a time. I'm going to do one leg at a time. See if you can reach back and hold that foot, stretching out that quadricep. Maybe gently elevating your chest off the floor and lowering back down. Other heel in towards the glute. Keep those inner edges of your knees actively drawing towards each other and adding a little bit more of a back bend as you draw the heel towards the glute. Breathing here. So this is a modified bow pose and lowering down. And you can alternate again or come back. And I'm taking my socks off because we are coming into downward facing dog. So start to energize the inner edges of the arms, fingers spread wide. Ensure that when you bring your sitting bones up to the sky, that those ears stay right in between those arms. Active arm muscles. Inhale, sitting bones to rise and start to slowly lower one heel down at a time. The backs of the thighs, the calves might feel a little bit resistant right now. Breathe into that. Keep actively pressing the hands into the floor, lengthening the crown down into the space of the hands. Option is to reduce some of that pressure on the wrists and do this from a tabletop position and extend one heel back at a time. So here's the modified version. I'm coming back up. You do what works best for you. If those heels are both working down towards the ground, make sure the inner edges of the feet are relatively parallel. If you'd like more of a calf stretch, you can kind of just rotate your heels ever so slightly out, and that will stretch your calves a little bit more. I'll find a few more breath cycles here. Breathing length. Inhale, right leg to rise up. And if you're pivoting that hip open, draw it back down. Keep that pelvis relatively even on the left and the right side. Lower that foot. Inhale, opposite leg rises. Three-legged dog, pressing the chest towards the thigh. Square that pelvis back down. And another deep breath in. And exhale, bend that knee, plant that foot back down. Lower the knees back down to the ground. Draw the sitting bones back. And right here in Vajrasana, take those arms out wide. So you can do this either sitting in Vajrasana or coming into a kneeling pose, elevating the hips off of the calves. So you choose. If you're up elevated, you can bring one hand onto your low back, coming into a modified camel pose. So check out your knees again are hip distance apart. You're engaging through your abdominals and energizing your glutes. Keep those glutes energized to protect the back, lifting up and out of your pelvis. And switch sides, opposite hand on the low back, reach the other arm up. Active glutes, active breath. awakening, opening, breathing through the front of the body. Focus on spinal extension to your back bend. Maybe if it feels good, both hands for a couple of breaths. Never want to feel a pinching in the low back. You just come into your variation. Let's release those sitting bones back onto the heels. Stretch out your feet here for a few breaths. Simply a new variation. I'm facing forward and then showing you from the other side. See how my toes are tucked under. Take one arm and reaching it over onto the side. Again, this can be done with your hips elevated. Again, opening into the side body. Keeping those hips stacked above the knees if you're elevated. And if neither of these work and you have some knee issues, you can do this from standing and reaching one arm over for a lateral flexion. Taking it to the other side. Either sitting on the heels or elevating those sitting bones off of the heels. Maybe it's standing. Breathe here, breathing into the rib cage, opening into the side body. Beautiful. And release that down. Bring the hands to heart center and then take the arms wide. And you're just kind of a little bit more dynamic here, circling one arm up and over, the other arm sweeps down and under. So getting some mobility here through the shoulder joints as you find some opening through side body on one side. A couple more times. Smile. Open those arms wide. Thank you for this day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Breathe here. Open here. Smile here. Release back down. Let's begin to come into a seated twist. So bringing one leg forward. So let's say that's the left leg that is forward. And elevating, inhaling, finding length through the spine. And just showing you from another angle. And continuing to keep that bottom leg active. Inhale, and on the exhalation, rotating the chest towards that inner knee. Focusing here on elongating through the spine. You can place your hand at the back, but don't drop into it. Just remember to get tall, create a lot of space and height for breath. Never over torquing. Sometimes we have some limitations in the way our spine can move, and then we kind of just torque our shoulders, but we're not going to do that. We're going to allow that spinal twist to be even all the way up. And if you're feeling a pulling in your sacral area, let that one hip come slightly up. It's okay. Let the rotation start down at the pelvis. Although the majority of this pose is done with the upper part of the spine. We want to feel ease and freedom here. Couple more breaths. Look back to center and let's release that out. You're simply going to switch sides. And I'm getting tall first, elevating the chest. And crossing opposite leg over. I'll show you another angle here. So sitting a little bit more forward on those sitting bones. Bottom leg active into the ground. Inhale, right down to the base of the spine. Exhale, out of the crown of the head. Inhale for length and exhale, revolve your chest towards that inner thigh. Chloe's coming in for some pets. She's, as you know, quite a regular now. I used to practice always down in the studio, so she didn't have all these hands that were close to the ground. And now that I'm practicing in the living room, she is taking advantage of it. A couple more breaths in your spinal twist, feeling the energizing effects of the spinal rotation. So twists are great for helping stretch out the abdominal muscles, the tight abdominal muscles, the back muscles, increasing mobility in our spine. Again, we don't want this to feel as if it's hurting in your sacrum. If it is, maybe reduce some of that torque or rotation in that low back region. Couple more breaths. Let's come back to center. Unwind your legs, bring your back down onto the ground, and hug those knees into the chest. Spread the shoulder blades across the earth. It's finishing up here. Last minute or two. If you need to go, that's 15 minutes now. But if you've got 2 more minutes available, extend your feet up to the sky, plant your hands underneath your glutes, give your pelvis a little bit of an additional lift here, soften the knees, pedal your feet, relax the ankles. Let that blood flow back to the heart. Very gentle inversion. Option number 2, dead bug pose. Let those wrists reach up to the sky. Soften the fingers. Option number 3, bend the knees in a little bit more, especially if the back is pulling, and maybe taking happy baby pose, opening those knees wider than your rib cage. And noticing that you're feeling more energized, ready to greet your day. Hug those knees back into the chest. Either rock and roll up and down your spine or roll over onto a side. As we finish up here, crossing your legs. Put a big smile on your face. Place your hands on your heart, and I'm asking you to speak some kind words to yourself and set your intention for today. Today, I will practice being joyful. Today, I will be happy. Today, I am honoring me. When we take care of ourselves, we can take care of others. One last movement, side body, feeling inspired. One hand to the ground, reaching up and over. And over to the other side. And up and over. Maybe crossing your legs the other way. Couple more breaths into that side body. Press the earth away. Come back up. Bring your hands to your heart. Thank you. Take care of you. Enjoy your day.